It's on you. It's not on the next person, not on the government, what they're doing to us. We have adversaries every day because we're alive right now. That's like against the root. Like we are born to die. So we're decaying. So things are working against us. But you can do things like take care of your health so you can live longer, so you don't have to perish too soon. Right. So I'm going to go and break this down for you guys because it's very helpful just to know. Because when you have a level of peace, when you have a level of understanding, you know how to play the game and to win. And that's what God wants us to do. God wants us to actually win so we can go to the next level. But a lot of us don't understand how money works, right? So I want to jump right into it. I want to talk about your unconscious mind when it comes to money and finances. What are your beliefs, right? First one, what is your personal belief, your conscious beliefs, and what is your subconscious, your unconscious beliefs as well, right? So a lot of us, you might have done the work, you might have read the books, you might have went to the seminars, you might have went to school, but in the back of your mind, you keep hitting a plateau, you keep hitting this limitation, but you don't know why. I was there. Okay. Cause so I understand what you're going through right now. You're just hitting that plateau because you haven't dealt with the subconscious, the one that is always recording. So, and it's like this. Some people get it. Some people say money is the root of all evil. What is a root? I grew up thinking that, right? I grew up seeing people that had money. Well, one, I grew up in the hood. So people that had money, they wasn't all good, right? So in my subconscious, money was the root because people did evil things for money. So what is a root? Right? A root is something that's actually planted in the ground from what? A seed. Someone planted a seed. So somebody gave you that understanding that money is the root of all evil. So true. But they didn't tell you that if you have evil rooted in your heart, if you have evil already in your mind, in your body, how you think about it, that's it's just going to expose. So money just amplifies who you are, not who you want to be. Right. A lot of us just think when I get money, everything is going to be good. How many of us that got some money and we begin to fall out of relationship, good relationships, it's fighting, is that was every evil, everything that was in your heart is now being exposed. So money actually exposes you for who you are. You can actually use it. Some people think money is good or bad. It's really your perspective. Because if Christ is your foundation, then everything that he gives to me is good. And we're stuck in this notion of like, man, if I get too much money, uh, I might not be able to handle it. I might lose it, or I'm gonna get in more trouble. If you already have that mindset, I call it the genetics of money. It's a genetics, just how you have a genetics where you can grow and to a certain level, you maybe grow into 6'5" or 6'4" or maybe 5'3". They call it genetics. But money also has a genetics too. How you think, it's a genetic behind that. Somebody manufactured that and changed your DNA, because we know that DNA itself is just messages in the body coming together and saying who you are. It's expressing who you are based on how the person before you, generations before you, thought, how they, depending on the climate, the conditions, everything takes place with genetics. Okay. Right. So once you begin to see, well, let me go back three generations back. What was my great grandmother or my great grandfather? How did they think? How did my grandparents think? How does my mom think when it comes to money? And also the level of success that they had, right? Because you can measure over a time. Yes, starting off, you might not be able to have the level of success that you want. But if you keep seeing that you're hitting that limitation, you need to research because you're going to fail and you're going to perish for lack of knowledge because you don't understand that you have this genetic makeup. Because since you're two, one, you're eating up your environment and you're growing in it. Your environment is molding you. That's genetics. That's your DNA being molded to create this belief system. So you have the wrong environment. Guess what? You're gonna have the wrong mindset when it comes to money. Money is it's for me. I had to change it. I had to change my mind about money because I grew up in the hood. My mindset was like, man, I'm gonna have to steal for money for so I can have an increase. I have to go steal. I have to go rob. I gotta go scam. I gotta do something. I didn't know that I can create a business or learn something new to gain access to money because of my genetic makeup, right? But now my moral compass kicked in. Like, man, I can't really rob people. So what does that tell me? It's a different way. I knew that it was a different way. So my mind and my conscience begins to shift. And one thing I was reading is that millionaires actually live longer than people that work 9 to 5s. They actually lived 14 years more than the average person that's working. So can you imagine somebody that's a millionaire? They're seeing they're traveling, they're living out their dreams, or they're adding so much greatness to this world. They live more because of their environment. Because when you are a millionaire, you begin to see things differently than the average person. I hope you guys are understand what I'm saying. Your mindset becomes more. You begin to grow. You begin to one take care of yourself because we understand the lack of money. For me, the lack of money is the root of all evil. Because when I look back at it, everybody that was robbing and killing and stealing, they was doing it for lack of money. True. So true. So guess what? When you have a lack of money, you're in a more so a poverty mindset. You don't know that it's another way, so you're gonna do things to probably put yourself in prison or you get killed. This is why millionaires live longer. And billionaires probably live even longer. Why? It's how they train their mind, it's how they see the world. You're able to have a different perspective because you have access to different things. Am I making sense to you guys? Okay. This is some good stuff. So I was reading also, people work an average of 45 years in a 9 to 5. So how many of you know some people right now that want to be in their job? Just raise your hand. That wants to be in their job. Okay, not too many. How many of you actually know people that don't want to be in their job? Yeah. Like they drag. They said that Monday mornings, 80% of heart attacks are on Monday mornings between the hours of 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Why? Because people are actually going to doing things that they don't want to do. Ain't that crazy? And they're doing it for 45 years. Can y'all imagine doing something for 45 years over and over, but you know in your heart you want better because you're saying you don't actually like what you're doing. I was there. Sure. I was one of those people. I would just work the jobs just to pay bills. That's such a low mindset. Like we are better than that. You are better than that. But still, you do it because you think that you have to pay bills. So who is your God? When you sit back and think about it, who is your God? Is it the bills, or is it God, or is it the money? Which one? Because you need to choose one. But here's the thing: God knows that we have need. He wants us to be partnered up with Him. He wants us to go. He wants us to do His will. And things begin to work out even more when you do his will, right? Because my thought is, if money is the root of all evil, my process is this. It depends on why you're doing the thing makes it evil.
Wow.
If you're going to this job not to make it better, or you just dragging, you just being mediocre, Christ actually told us whatever we do, do it in excellence with all of our might. So if you're not doing that, that's a form of being evil. But a lot of people don't look at themselves like, no, I'm not evil. And they wonder why they're having a hard time bringing money to them.
Wow.
Because these things are actually rooted inside of them, but they don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
True. Okay.
So I had to understand these processes. I had to start asking questions like, why? Why is money evil? Right? Why are rich people, they seem like they're living life, right? But do God, if I gave my life to God, does God want me to prosper, or does he want me to suffer in poverty? But then I started reading the Bible, and the Bible said something different. The Bible said, I wish above all things that you may prosper, even as your soul prosper and be in good health. So you basically, if your soul isn't prospering, right? What is it doing? It's in the midst of lack. If you're thinking of lack, if you're thinking of just less of yourself, that's not what God wants for you. So if you're not doing what God wants for you, guess who you're listening to? If you're prospering in one area, maybe you have great relationships, maybe your finances is doing well, but your soul isn't prospering. That's not the alignment. So this is how people, they say, quote unquote, they sell their souls, because it's what you're focused on. If you're just focused on getting money, getting money, getting money, getting money, I believe that does produce a level of evil.
Wow.
That's just my point of view. That's how I view just money and what's on your mind, because he said, have the mind of Christ. Have the mind of Christ. Christ was always thinking in abundance. Nothing was lacking. So some of you are holding on to things because you're actually in lack and poverty. And it's time for you to let that thing go or invest in yourself so you can grow to the next level.